Squad, what's going on, man? It's your boy KNOCKOUT360 with another video. So as you can tell, I'm in the car that makes this a car vlog. You already know how it's going down when I come around. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. So first things first, to each and every last one of my new viewers, new subscribers, new people tuning into the channel, thank you. Car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets, anything and everything car related happens on this channel. So if you're into that kind of stuff, make sure you stick around. For everyone else, man, make sure you hit that subscription button, that notification bell, so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, right? So let's go ahead and get into it, man. So boom, a lot of people have been in my DMs here, both on YouTube as well as Instagram, you know, in the comments and whatnot, kind of asking me about should they upgrade to a Scat Pack Charger? Should they upgrade to a Scat Pack Challenger? Should they upgrade to a 392? Now, a lot of these people are asking me these questions from the perspective of someone that's driving like an RT or someone that's driving an SXT, right? Now, you know your boy used to drive an SXT. Let's keep it real, a Dodge Charger Rally package, right? Dodge Charger Rally SXT, which was put down right at like 300 horsepower, whatever the case may be. So obviously a V6, Pentastar V6 engine, you already know the deal. That was the first car that I had on this channel. I bought that in 2015. I bought it brand new. And I loved it. I mean, for what it was amazing. At the time, I was working in a particular location. Basically, I was working in a different state. You know what I'm saying? Living in Charlotte, but I was working in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And for all of you that know that relation, it's probably like a 35 to 40 minute drive with good traffic, and with bad traffic it can be anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour. So it made sense for me at the time to drive a V6, you know what I'm saying, to get from A to B. I'm no longer working there. I'm actually working now in Charlotte, so you know the mileage is considerably cut down, you know what I'm saying. But getting into what you guys have been asking me, like, you know, was it the right decision? If you're driving an SXT, should you upgrade to an RT? If you're driving an RT, is it a big enough jump to upgrade to a 392? Or should I wait, save my money, and get a Hellcat? Let me explain something to you. The 392, specifically the Scat Pack, SRT 392, TA 392, Daytona 392, all of those engines are very powerful. They're very formidable engines, right? They're very powerful, very quick, very formidable cars in general. Any upgrade to those cars will be well needed and well respected. And I say that to say, whether you're coming from an RT or an SXT, trust me when I say the power is much, much more noticeable than what you're currently driving. Whether you're driving a 5.7 or a 3.6, trust me when I say that 6.4 engine will surprise you. It will surprise you when it comes to the acceleration. It'll surprise you when it comes to the overall power, and then of course the top speed, or whatever the case may be. With my particular car, I'm not in it right now. I've been filming in my girl's car. My car, the tint on my car is so dark that it really messes with the video. You know what I'm saying? So recently I've been filming in my girl's car. Her Jeep Grand Cherokee, or whatever the case may be, obviously has no tint. But my car comes fully loaded with the whole SRT package. SRT dampening suspension, 305s all the way around, big 20-inch rims, all the SRT drive modes, track, sport, custom, eco, comes with line lock, comes with what's the other one that I'm thinking of here? Line lock and oh man, I can't even think of it. It's basically the mode where you launch control comes with all that stuff. So anything and everything that your SRT comes with, your Hellcat comes with, mine comes with it as well, without the red key, obviously. So I'm saying all that to say, whether you're coming from a 3.6 or a 5.7, the jump is a formidable jump. It's a well-respected jump. You will notice the power. You will notice not only the power, but just kind of the mechanics that have gone into that engine, that 6.4 engine. It's completely different from the 5.7. On paper, when you look at it, you know, from a 5.7, I think the 5.7s are putting down like 375 horsepower compared to the Scat Pack or the SRT 392, which is 485 horsepower. On paper, you may say, well, you know, that's only like 115, 110 horsepower jump right there. On paper, that is the case, and I see how that can dissuade you or persuade you one way or another. But trust me when I say that 485 horsepower is a lot. As you know, our cars has a top speed of like 185, 188, something like that. The power is there. The power is there on the low end as well as the high end as well, or the top end as well. you will notice a complete difference when you make that decision to jump to a Scat Pack 392 or SRT 392. Now, granted, if you have the money and you have the ability to go out and get you a Hellcat, of course go get a Hellcat. No one would tell you otherwise. No one would tell you to get a 392 over a Hellcat. I wouldn't. No other Dodge aficionado would. Trust me when I say, if you have that kind of money and you can make the jump from a 5.7 or 3.6 to a Hellcat, certainly do so. But understand this. You will need to learn how to drive that car. And this goes for the 392 as well. You will need to learn how to drive those cars because they get away from you easy. The power that they put down is immediate, and it doesn't matter whether you have 245s or 305s on your, as far as your tire is concerned, you can lose control of those cars. People have been telling me, oh, you know, you got those big tires, that should pretty much keep you planted. It doesn't. It keeps me planted in like eco mode and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, because obviously everything's not fully engaged. You don't have that immediate power that you would get in track mode or even turning the traction off. But when you turn the traction off, and even when you get in sport or track mode, you can get loose. You can get loose, you can get sideways and ultimately wreck your car and mess yourself up really bad. Do not for one second think that because you've got traction or eco mode or track, or you know, some of these kind of specific modes that allows you to keep the traction on, that you can't break the tires. Or maybe you're in the mindset that it's just a 392 engine, it's not going to. Trust me when I say it can. And there are videos all over the internet of people losing control of their 392. Forgive the ambient sounds, they're cutting grass in my neighborhood, so you know how that goes. But the 392 engine is a very formidable engine, and you need to respect it. You know what I'm saying? You need to respect the 6.4. It is a huge jump, whether you're coming from a 5.7 or 3.6. I came from a 3.6, and it's a huge jump. Even to this day, I'm still learning how to drive that car. Two modes that I'm learning about, launch mode and line lock. Obviously, line lock makes sense. I don't really have to learn that. But launch mode, I've heard a lot of people say that launch mode is really just kind of a launch control is really just kind of a gimmick. You can do a lot better launching it yourself manually as opposed to actually using the launch control feature. As you can see, my man's over here doing the cutting the grass or whatever, weed eating or whatever. But I've heard a lot of people say that the launch control is a gimmick. Whether it is or whether it isn't, you have that option in your car. You have that option to activate launch control. And those are typically features that come with very high-end cars. You know what I'm saying? All the way up to your Hellcat. You know what I'm saying? My man's right here, literally right beside the car. But those are, you know, options that come all the way up to the Hellcat and beyond. You know what I'm saying? All the way up to the Demon. The Demon has launch control. You know what I'm saying? Hellcats have launch control. The Daytona has launch control. So it's one of those things where it may be a gimmick, but you still have that option in the SRT 392s, or the 392s in general. I'm saying all this to say it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense for you to upgrade to a 392 if you're in the realm to, or if you're in the market to. You know what I'm saying? Don't for one second listen to anyone when they tell you that it's not a powerful car, it's not a formidable enough jump. I know a lot of you RT guys are looking at it like, well, it's really just one step up. Is it really worth it? Because the thing about cars, if you're a car guy, is it's like, you know, being a biker, right? When I was first looking at bikes years ago, I've never ridden bikes or ridden them seriously. I was looking at a 300cc bike. Everyone was telling me, do not get a 300cc bike, get a 600 at minimum, or get a 750 or 1000. Don't get a 1000 if you've never rode a bike before. But basically they was telling me that with the mindset that as soon as you get that bike, you're going to want more power. Within 6 months to a year, you're going to want a bike with more power. You don't want to get yourself in a situation financially where you're tied to this one bike at 300cc that's not giving you the power that you want, and now you got to go and sell or trade in or whatever the case may be to get what you really want. Cars are the exact same. But in the case of the 6.4, trust me when I say that's plenty of power no matter where you're upgrading from. You know what I'm saying? All of those features that come on the car as far as traction control, it's all BS. And I say that to say it does a pretty good job at keeping the car in control, particularly if you're in eco mode when everything's not really engaged or you're not getting the full potential of your engine and your transmission. But once you put your car in the sport mode, track mode, it's pretty much you, gravity, and the pavement. You know what I'm saying? As far as keeping your car in check. You know, I've had my 392 for about a month and a half, 2 months at this point. And there have been times where I was not trying to get sideways, but I got sideways. So it lets you know that it's not a matter of the brand of tire, the size of tire. That engine is powerful. And when it sends that power to two wheels in the back, rear wheel drive, you will get loose and you can put yourself in a real bad situation. Trust me when I say. My experience as far as upgrading from the V6 to the 392 has been a good one. I mean, it's been everything that I expected. Mind you, I've driven Hellcats, I've driven 392s, I've driven a Z01, I've driven a bunch of cars, AMGs, I've driven a bunch of cars as far as powerful cars are concerned. So it's not really a surprise to me that the kind of power, it's a surprise in that what I was used to, but it doesn't surprise me like, oh my God, I've never seen something like this before. I have. You know what I'm saying? So I already knew what to expect when it came to the power. I already knew what to expect when it came to the performance. You know what I'm saying? But you will have to respect the engine. Coming from a V6, there are a couple things that you need to know and be mindful of. For one, it's the immediate power. It gives you immediate power directly to those two wheels in the back. Great thing, could be a dangerous thing if you don't know what you're doing. Like I said, I see videos all the time of people getting loose in those cars and losing control of it. I saw one video, as a matter of fact, the other day where I think it was a Hellcat or maybe a 392, I'm not sure. And it was racing may have been a Mustang, if I'm not mistaken. And basically they both got onto it. And it was a roll race, probably like a 40, a 50 roll, 60 roll, something like that. And as soon as he got onto it, you could literally see his back two wheels get sideways a little bit, and as a result he ended up in on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? And you always see videos of people swinging Chargers, swinging Challengers, and they swing them because those cars are so easy to get loose in the back. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much power being delivered to really tires and wheels that can't sustain that type of car. You know what I'm saying? Even with the weight of our cars, they always say heavier cars are typically better to I guess, you know, maintain and sustain in the road. But when you put a heavy car with 485 horsepower or 700, doesn't matter how heavy the car is, it's going to get crazy. You have to respect it. When you get on it, you have to respect it, man. When you're trying to get crazy with it and swing it, for all you guys that swing your cars, you have to respect that you're swinging a 4,300 pound car around. You know what I'm saying? Gas guzzling, we already know that. I made a video on that. I mean, with the V6 or with my V6, let me speak subjectively here. I was filling up maybe once every 2 weeks, something of that sort, maybe once a week on a Sunday, just because of how I drive. Of course, getting regular gas from any gas station didn't matter. I really wasn't concerned with the quality, I'll be honest with you. People have been telling me with the 392, you only want to get top quality gas, Shell, BP, gas stations such as those. You know what I'm saying? They're always the most expensive ones, but you get what you pay for, right? And if you know anything about Shell, they have that V plus premium gas or whatever the case may be, that's supposed to be better for your engine in the long run. With the V6, I didn't care about none of that. I was filling up wherever and whenever, regular gas, getting the cheapest of the cheap. With the 392, you can't necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you do want to respect what kind of engine you have. And the thing about the 392 as opposed to the V6 engine is that your likelihood for wearing that engine down in a shorter amount of time is more likely than it was with the V6. And I say that to say, because of all the power that those cars produce, because of the components that have to be reinforced to handle that power, when you're constantly pushing your 392, constantly hard takeoffs, hard brakes, swinging it, hard pulls, the whole nine, full on throttle, you have to understand that those cars are more likely to wear down in a shorter amount of time than your V6. So with that being said, there may be a chance that you're at the shop more often. You're certainly going to be changing your oil more often. With my V6, I was changing my oil probably between 5,000 to 7,000 miles. With this V8, I'd say every 5,000 to 8,000 miles. You know what I'm saying? I was pushing it, I'm not going to lie. But with this 392, you can kiss that goodbye. You're probably going to be changing that oil between, like 4,000 to 6,000 miles if you're really pushing it. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the oil changes are expensive. With my V6, I think I was paying $70 out the door for an oil change, and that's including tire rotation at Dodge. At the manufacturer, at the dealership, I was paying about $70 out the door. But now with the Scat Pack, I've already priced it, and I should be paying right at $98 to $105 for an oil change. That's not even the tire rotation. So we're talking about $100 plus tire rotation, and oil change on a regular, more often. So you're paying more for gas, you're filling up more often, and you're paying more for oil changes, and once again you're getting the changes more often. You know what I'm saying? And tires are probably the same way. I'm not doing a lot of burnouts and stupid stuff with my car. Listen, $300, $293 per tire is what the Pirelli P0s is costing me at this point. I'm not spending $600 worth of tires on the back just to do a burnout for, you know, for giggles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. That car better last me for some time, and those tires better last me for some time because they're expensive. You can easily be paying $1,000 plus for a set of tires, whereas with the V6, no lie, I was getting the Turo AZ850s for $450, $500 all the way around. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say you need to be mindful of a couple things when making an upgrade from a V6 or an RT to a 392, and this applies to the Hellcat as well. Money will come into play. You will be spending more. You will be spending more at the pump. You will be spending more at the body shop, the dealership. Everything on these cars are more expensive, man. Everything. When you start upgrading your car, getting under the hood, you'll notice that the oil catch cans are more expensive. Exhaust systems are more expensive. I mean, even getting a thermostat for our cars are more expensive. You know what I'm saying? Small things become big things. Cheap things become expensive things when you're upgrading to this car. And we're not even talking about how much you're actually going to be paying at the dealership to buy a brand new 2020 or 2019 Scat Pack or 392. Right? So you're spending more money up front to buy the damn car. You're spending more money at the pump more often. You're spending more money at the dealership, oil changes, tire rotations. Just be mindful that all of this shit is really expensive. You know what I'm saying? Just be mindful that all of this shit is really expensive in the long run because our cars are just expensive. You know what I'm saying? Headlights, tail lights, anything and everything as it pertains to our cars are more expensive. And that's just something that you got to be mindful of when upgrading to a 392. Now, as far as the driving performance is concerned, I love it. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the power. I'm in love with the grip. I'm in love with the sound. All of that stuff I'm in love with. But there are a couple things that, like I said, you just need to be mindful of as a thinking adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to fall in love with the power and the engine and all that shit. That's all well and good. But you also need to be mindful of the things that you don't see. How much money you're spending on the back end. How much money you're spending at the dealership. How much money you're spending at the gas station. Now, granted, by no means did I buy this car expecting a gas-friendly, efficient car. No. But that does factor in. When you're spending, I mean, right now, gas is so cheap, it's ridiculous. For a full tank right now, I'm probably spending north of $35, 30, $35, depending on what gas station I go to. When gas gets back to how it was, I guarantee you it'll be 40 plus, maybe even 45 plus. Now, that sounds like, you know, a cheap amount, but when you're filling up 2-3 times a week, what are we talking here? We're talking about 80, $100 a week, possibly. That may factor into a lot of people's budget when it comes to buying a car. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that you just want to be mindful of going forward. So there are a couple things that you want to open your eyes to before you make that jump. A lot of things that you're not seeing on the sticker, a lot of things that you're not seeing in YouTube videos. When you see guys burning out and having fun with these cars, they're expensive. They're expensive to maintain, they're expensive to buy, and they're expensive to own in the long run. So that's something that you want to be mindful of. But realistically speaking, it was the best jump for me. I'm not in the market for a Hellcat. I don't have Hellcat money like that. You know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't make sense for what I'm doing at the time. So the Scat Pack was right on time for me. Whether I'm driving a 3.6, which I was, or 5.7, the Scat Pack was the way to go. So in my honest opinion, if you ask me, I think that the Scat Pack is more than enough power for you guys that's looking to upgrade. You won't be disappointed. You won't feel like after a year you need more power. Of course, you're going to modify your car. We all do. But that doesn't mean that there isn't enough power stock to have some fun with and do some damage with. You feel me? As always, it's been your boy KNOCKOUT360. Just kind of wanted to talk to you guys. A lot of people have been asking me about making the jump from a V6 to a 392. Should they go from a 3.6 to a 5.7? If you own a 5.7, is it a worthy enough jump to go to the 392, or should they save up and get a Hellcat? Listen, if you can get a Hellcat, get a Hellcat. But if you can't, a 392 won't disappoint you. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. It's been your boy KNOCKOUT360. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.